Monday morning in a camp for internally displaced people in northern Iraq. It has rained overnight. Children are gathered in these containers. This is not a lesson. SOS Children's Village's social workers are trying to get the children to start talking. It's an important step. This is the only way for them to help process their hidden traumas.
Just tell me, don't be frightened.
The SOS Children's Village's social workers learned that Islamic State fighters had overrun Sadoun's village on the hunt for Yazidis. Sadoun and his 3 brothers were able to escape, but their father and 5-year-old sister couldn't get away. Khanke is one of more than 20 displacement camps on the edge of Dohuk. It is under administration of the Kurdish Autonomous Region. In this camp alone, there are around 16,000 Yazidis, almost all of them from the area of Sinjar. Barely 3 years ago, Islamic State fighters killed thousands of Yazidis and captured and abused women and children. 10,000 escaped across the Sinjar Mountains, and many died on the journey. SOS Children's Villages is working to help those who are now living at the Khanke camp. Our primary task is to help children to come to terms with trauma. Katerina Abel is the SOS Children's Village's project leader in northern Iraq. In no time at all, she has assembled a team of Yazidis, all of them refugees. Katerina Abel's co-workers receive training so they can offer the children initial psychological help. It is then decided what further therapy is required. Trust in Katerina and her team is growing. The children are gradually starting to recount the atrocities they've suffered. The SOS Children's Village's staff are there for them, to help them to process their experiences. Using the concept of the protected space, the children are told to put themselves in a place where they are happy and safe. They are encouraged to emotionally go to a safe place over and over again, especially when they recall their dreadful memories which stop them from sleeping. Even after the first exercise, the children are visibly more relaxed. Just under 200 children are already participating in the trauma sessions in 8 parallel groups for several weeks in a row. This is a tough job for the trainers, made up of 1 woman and 1 man per group.
Für die Teams ist es noch schwerer. Die haben das jeden Tag, das ist deren Job.
It is even harder for the teams. They have to do this every day. It's their job. They have to listen to the children's stories. They are from these places themselves and have also experienced these kinds of things. That is why we also offer them the opportunity of having supervision and to be debriefed. We do this at least once a week, just so they get the chance to talk about their experiences and how to deal with them, so that we can be there for them. And if we see it is too much, we have to make sure that they get professional help, because the stories are really, really terrible. Some of them are so horrific that you can't really understand or believe them, but they are of course true.
The team from SOS Children's Villages combed through the camp for months, going into the shelters and tents to find those urgently in need of help. This was no easy task, even though they were equipped with lists and with instructions from the camp management. Mamo is also one of the team. Although in poor health himself, he is happy to be able to work for SOS. It is difficult to find your way among the thousands of tents here. It rains very little in this part of the world, but when it does rain, the tents become awash with mud.
Ihr müsst immer suchen.
Ja.
Mamo and Marzan of SOS Children's Villages are looking for the tent where Sadoun and his brothers live. They finally found it. This is Sadoun's mother. Mamo and Marzan are invited into the family's tent. Their mother is alone with her remaining daughters and 4 sons, all of them minors. She has no income, with only basic provisions from the UN relief organizations. She complains that there is almost no work. On top of this, she has bad back pain and no money for treatment. 17-year-old Sani has not yet gone to the trauma meetings. The therapists want to know more about the family's fate and why the children are so distressed.
They cry because when we were fleeing, they saw their father dying in our arms. Their elder sister also died because she had no food and no water on the journey.
Their older sister only lived to the age of 6. It's not just Sadoun and his younger brothers who are struggling with this. 17-year-old Sani cannot easily cope with the heavy burden. As the eldest son, he is now expected to replace his father and take on responsibility for the whole family. But he himself is still just a child. Mazen from SOS Children's Villages intervenes.
I'm really sorry that we have to remind you of all this, but we want to help you.
He is still too young. He can't work full time yet.
Things will get better.
Eda is a very special case. SOS Children's Villages project leader Katerina Abel wants to meet her in person. The 19-year-old was fleeing from the Islamic State militia with her parents. She had seen men attacking her village and heard many stories of young girls who had been raped. But she is no longer able to remember what happened to her, nor how she got these burns. She constantly faints, but what really happened to the 19-year-old and why can only be guessed at. Having only had provisional treatment, she has since suffered from pain. She needs expensive medicine and care products. Her family is unable to afford these. Katerina Abel wants to help her so she can earn money.
Ada, my name is Katerina, and I work for SOS Children's Villages. And I heard you're interested in coming to the Women Cafe.
Ada is invited to come along. She doesn't really know what it involves, but to get out of the tent, to give her a new outlook, makes her very happy. Among Yazidi refugees, the women are particularly affected. Many of them were forced into slavery and raped. The shame is deep-rooted, and on top of this, their suffering is viewed as taboo. The very next day, Ada is amongst 20 refugee women visiting an SOS Children's Village structure.
This is not about teaching them a little cooking. That's not the point. At the end of the day, it's about them running a restaurant afterwards.
The women are taught which dishes are suitable for sale. They learn how to calculate their budget, make cost-effective purchases, and later how to advertise their businesses. They display a keen interest. even at the first meeting, and see opportunities that are being offered to them. SOS Children's Villages aims to use this program to help the women feel less isolated.
Here, even if a woman has been raped, then she is to blame and is initially ostracized by society. We try to counteract this. These women need to be strong. They have children they have to take care of. They can't just sit down and say, oh no, now everything is ruined. They need an income. They need to have self-confidence, and they need to be accepted by society. And this means they need to become independent.
To mark the start of the work of SOS Children's Villages in northern Iraq, project leader Katharina Abel has organised a small party.
We now have about 150 to 200 children who come here, who all participate in our programme. Other NGOs and the camp manager also come. Today we are presenting our programme, presenting it for the children, for the parents.
The aim of the celebration, to let children be children, if only for a moment. All of the participants in the trauma meetings have come, including Sardoun, who is gradually showing more confidence. Eda, who seldom dares to appear amongst people due to her burns, has also come. Eda gets down to work in the kitchen. The idea of the women's cafe really appeals to her. She wants to learn to provide for herself. The party is a success. The efforts have paid off. There is still a lot more work to be done, but seeing the children's happiness gives SOS Children's Villages team members the strength to carry on.